Hello, my friends. Welcome once again to Spiritism, a closer look. You are on Kardec Radio. Luiz Lima here, broadcasting from Orlando, Florida. Tonight, we are going to take a closer look at the categories of worlds. What is that? What does it mean, right? Well, first of all, let me tell you, you can find the information, you can find the literature on this on the Gospel According to Spiritism. This is laid out beautifully by Allan Kardec on chapter 3, Gospel According to Spiritism. So here we go. To talk about the categories of worlds where spirits can set up their habitat, let's put it this way, we need to understand something that we explained a couple of times here in the past, which is the spirit scale. We're not going to go through this in details. We've done this a couple of times, at least, like I said. But what this means is an attempt. It's a pretty good attempt, by the way, to categorize spirits according to their level of advancement. And you see on the scale here on the right side of your screen, it goes from the lowest in terms of moral advancement, impure, all the way it climbs up that ladder, all the way up to pure spirits. So we don't have a whole mix of spirits living on the same place. For example, on Earth, most of the spirits are in the red zone, in the four bottom categories. Occasionally, we have one of the green ones showing up somewhere here and there, but it's not in great number. So spirits, like on Earth, they have the same ideas, the same wishes, the same thoughts. So these spirits, all of them, need to have a house per se, a spiritual house, some place where they can develop themselves. They can just make it their spiritual habitat. That's why we need several different worlds, because these worlds are going to house different states of the soul. There are several states of the soul. We start from the very bottom of the scale, which we usually call simple and ignorant, and we go all the way up to pure spirits, perfected spirits. So if we analyze the situation of discarnate spirits, we can look into the degree of purification of these spirits. At the bottom of the scale, we have the very unhappy ones. At the top of the scale, we have the very happy ones. And the same thing with sensations and perceptions. They are different depending on where the spirit is on the scale. Spirits on Earth, or those who are still in the bottom of the scale, they are still very attached to material life, just like us. And attachment to material lives makes them very earthly spirits. They want things that are material things. The whole importance of their lives, their lives run around material things rather than spiritual things. So when you look at the scale and consider discarnate spirits, some are more advanced spirits. They travel through space because they are simply able to do it, and others cannot leave the world they are because they are not developed or advanced enough to go to higher worlds. So they are stuck to where they are. Some spirits will wander in darkness in the lower scale. However, others will enjoy shining light at the top of the scale. Evil spirits in the bottom of the scale are full of remorse and lamentation. However, good spirits or well-developed spirits, righteous spirits, they join their loved ones. They have beautiful lives. So the state of the soul is going to kind of uh, dictate or force the existence of different worlds. So again, these worlds are habitats for spirits of different levels of advancement. And the classification, which I'm going to put it here for you, we're going to talk a little bit about each one of them. The classification is not absolute. Everything is relative. It's one world in relation to another more advanced or less advanced. Everything is relative. And because these worlds are, and the reason is because these worlds are classified according to the profile of their inhabitants. So physically and morally less evolved spirits will live in less evolved worlds, like the Earth. Earth is one of them. If you take the Earth as a reference, there are worlds more advanced than ours and worlds that are less advanced than ours. We are somewhere in the middle. We're going to talk about this. So life is more material in worlds that are less evolved. And life is more spiritual in worlds that are more advanced. So here you have a little image on the side of the screen of what these categories are. So from bottom to top, primitive, trials and expiations, regeneration, happy and divine. It goes from the bottom for less advanced spirits all the way up to perfected spirits, divine worlds. Every single soul, every spirit has to start from the bottom and make it all the way to divine worlds. Every one of us. And we are somewhere. On earth, we are on the second level, trials and expiations. Let's detail a little bit each one of these worlds so we can make sense of it. But let me say this first. The spirits are not, because there is evolution, spirits are not connected to a particular world forever and ever. No, they will progress, they will evolve, and they will advance to a world that's more advanced. So they will go up the scale that you see here. It's just a matter of time and free will and dedication to the cause, if you will. So to go to a more advanced worlds, they have to reach a better degree of advancement. And that's how it goes on and on and on, until they reach the state of pure spirits. And those belong to the divine worlds. Now, free will lets the spirits decide when and how they want to advance morally to a higher stage. There's free will. If the spirit decides, if you want to be doing wrong things all the way and just doing evil all the time, it's going to take longer. However, everyone will go up to a better world at one point. So let's talk about I'm going to leave the image here so you can follow. So we're going to start from the bottom. Primitive worlds. These are worlds dedicated to the first incarnations of the human soul. That's the get-go, the starting point. In these worlds, spirits are still very driven. I would say the driving force for their actions is the instinct, regardless of moral, right or wrong, anything like this, just instinct. So it's the very beginning of human soul incarnations. It might resemble something like a caveman, way in the past, living on the conquest of food, and that's all, just to survive. So these are spirits that will have a long way still ahead of them. And in worlds like this, brute force dictates the way they live. It's cavemen, well, even worse maybe, but brute force dictates the way they live, their actions. That's what they go by. Primitive worlds. Going up one level here on the scale, trials and expiations. In worlds like this, evil still dominates. It's not as bad as primitive worlds, but evil still dominates. Earth is one of them. The earth is a trials and expiations, a type of world. It houses third order spirits, which are those in red on the spirit scale. So the earth works like a recovery, I would say, place. It's a hospital, it's a penitentiary, it's a unhealthy region, all of these things at the same time. Because the spirits on earth, that's what they need. They need to be treated for their wrongdoings, for their lack of morality, and that's what the earth is for. So then you might ask, but why do you have so much evil? Can't we just do better? We will do better. However, in order to do better and do good, we need something that gives us the sense that we need to do better. Evil is needed to give us the sense that we need to do good. At one point, we're going to say, I can't take this anymore. Oh my God, so much evil. Let me do different. So evil is needed to create the sense of good. Sickness is needed to appreciate health. And catastrophes is needed to inspire charity. Right? We say about charity, right? Charity being at the top of everything, like Jesus taught us. Well, we don't do charity enough in trial and expiations worlds, earth being one of them. So one way of forcing us to do charity is catastrophes. When a mega catastrophe takes place, it could be an earthquake, hurricane, tsunami, volcano activity, anything like this. People get together to help those injured, those who lost their loved ones, they lost their houses, they lost their belongings. That triggers charity. So catastrophes are here to inspire charity, because if they don't happen, we don't do charity on our own. We need something to force us to trigger. So those are worlds of trials and expiations. Then we have regenerative worlds. Well, regenerative worlds. The soul in these worlds still have something to expiate, to gain new strength. So it's still not perfect. There's still some work to be done. In worlds like this, good outweighs evil. However, evil still exists. It's not done and not existent. No. Evil in regenerative worlds still exists. However, good outweighs evil. The repentant soul finds peace in worlds like this. They will start to work more seriously towards purification. In worlds like this, like stated by Allan Kardec in The Spirits, there is no pride that silences the heart. There is no envy that tortures the heart. There is no hatred that suffocates the heart. It's the beginning, it's the dawning of happiness. Still unhappy, but it's the dawning of happiness. So in regenerative worlds, there are trials, but no expiations. So we're still going to have to be tried on a certain things that we still have to learn, but no expiations anymore. Again, in worlds like this, regenerative worlds, evil is not completely eliminated. It's not. So, next one up on the scale, it's happy worlds. And those are worlds where good outweighs evil. There's more good than evil in worlds like this. And these are spirits that will be housed there and just came out of regenerative worlds. Again, one of the things in the regenerative world is the dawning of happiness. The next level up is enjoying that happiness. Those are the happy worlds. And then at the top of the scale, we have divine worlds. Well, those are worlds for spirits who have achieved the purification of the soul. In worlds like this, good reigns completely. There is no evil, there is no bad things, there is no envy, no hatred, nothing like this. These are pure spirits. The goodness is an absolute. It's a world of bliss, which it might be very hard for us right now on earth to mentalize, to visualize, but we're going to get there with effort and the help of the good spirits. We're going to get there. So in worlds that are more advanced, the worlds that are more advanced, the spirits still have a body, but it's not a body like ours. It's more like a fluidic body. It's not as dense matter as ours is, that you can touch and you can feel like this. It's more like a fluidic body. Their bodies is not, or their bodies are not subject to diseases. They are not subjected to deteriorations of the matter because they are not made of brute matter like ours. They are fluidic. They have more, spirits there have more refined senses with more accurate perceptions because there is no matter. For example, for us here on earth, this is a very interesting thing. We are still at a point where we cannot for sure all the time distinguish between facts and perception. We have a tremendous tendency that our perceptions are facts that we establish. So we hear things, we see things, we kind of make a judgment on top of this because of our perception, and that becomes a fact. Not necessarily. So in worlds that are more highly evolved, such a thing will not happen because the soul, the senses are more refined. So they have a more accurate perception. The body on these worlds is much lighter than ours. Like I said, it's more like fluidic, so it's easy for moving around, very easy to move around. They don't have to deal with, like, for example, matter, displacement of matter and air so we can move around. No such a thing. It's completely different. The development of the body is very fast. It's rapid. It is short. And infancy is almost non-existent. Almost non-existent. It goes just like this. If you'll notice, by the way, if we go back in time, let's go back, I don't know, maybe 200 years, 100 some years ago. Let's take an age. This is just a thought, right? A concept. Let's say, for example, a 12-year-old, boy or girl, you pick. 12-year-old. What a 12-year-old kid does today is in no way compared to the same thing a 12-year-old kid 100 years ago used to do. Our 12-year-old kid today is probably equivalent to a 17 or 18-year-old kid 100 years ago. So you see, they are getting out of infancy faster with time. As time passes by, look back 100, 200 years. So it gives us the impression that infancy is getting shorter, which is one of the things that we are going to see in more advanced worlds. Infancy is shorter. Our infancy, our kids' infancy today is shorter than in the past. That's an interesting thing. It kind of goes in line with what we're saying here. Now, in more advanced worlds, highly evolved worlds, we don't have all the worries and troubles that we have to deal with on Earth, for example. And because of that, the longevity is higher, is much higher. They live longer before their death. On Earth, we get sick too fast. We shorten our lives because of all our attitudes and behaviors, and we kind of use our vital fluid the wrong way, and it wears out too fast. In more advanced worlds, there is no decomposition of the body as we know after death. No such a thing with the horrible smells and all the situations. It's not something like this. So in worlds like this, you're not going to see things like master and slaves. There is no master, there is no slave. There is no privilege at birth, which is something we still see here. Privilege at birth. The authority of a spirit in worlds like this is based on merit, nothing else, which is different for us here. And I've said before, there is no evil, no hatred, no envy, no jealousy, nothing like this. In more advanced worlds, the strongest will help the weakest, which is not something we see in here on Earth. So things are different when you go up the scale here that you see on your drawing, get past up on the scale, get past trials and expiations. We are about to become a regeneration world. So things are changing. Infancy is getting shorter. We're getting there. From there, we're going to go into happy worlds and then divine worlds. But it's not a snap of fingers. It requires dedication from each one of us, but most of all, it requires us to learn how to better use free will, because I will advance when I want, not when a divine decree comes down in my mailbox saying you have advanced. There is no such a thing. It's us. It's only us. Responsibility, it's only ours. For each one of us, this is a whole process. It's personal, not transferable. Nobody can, make me better. And I cannot make anybody better. It is personal. And we have Vito Vanes telling us here, thank you for helping Earth to evolve to planet of regeneration. Oh, yeah, absolutely. We thank each one of us doing this and the highly evolved spirits that are helping us the way they can. Can you imagine the frustration at times that they have by watching us do what we do? Wars all the time and murders all the time, and, abortion all the time, things like this. However, we should not give up. We should not give up at all. So Let's keep up the good work. We have examples in the past. We have examples today. Jesus was one of them, and you're going to say, well, that was 2,000 years ago. Well, Jesus' audience was not those people with him. Jesus' audience was spirits, immortal spirits. He spoke to me and you as well. Then we have a lot of other people. In more recent times, we had Gandhi and Mother Teresa. We have Divaldo Franco, the medium in Brazil, also Chico Xavier in Brazil. These people are here to help us grow. They are way more advanced than the average, way more advanced than us, but they are here with a mission to make us better. They will not make us better, but they will uh, uh, show things that if we understand and if we desire to follow what they do and what they say, we will get better. They cannot change us. Only us can change ourselves. So thank you very much for being with us, participating tonight. We will be here again next week. Don't forget, Wednesdays, 7 p.m. Kardec Radio, Spiritism, A Closer Look. Be well, and I see you then.